The latest developments from the music industry's biggest night have taken a sharp turn into legal territory, and it's all centered on a single sharp jab delivered on live television. We're talking about the recent Grammy Awards ceremony where host Trevor Noah landed a pointed punchline aimed directly at President Donald Trump. The fallout? An immediate, furious response from the president himself, complete with vows to unleash lawyers and extract serious financial consequences. Let's lay this out plainly, as any serious investigation demands. During the broadcast, while announcing the Song of the Year winner, Noah congratulated the recipient and then pivoted with this line. He noted that the award is something every artist craves, nearly as much as Trump craves ownership of Greenland. He followed up by suggesting the logic tracks because, with Jeffrey Epstein's notorious private island no longer an option, Trump supposedly requires a fresh spot to spend time alongside former President Bill Clinton. The audience reacted with laughter, but the comment clearly struck a raw nerve. Within hours, President Trump fired back on his social media platform with a lengthy, heated statement. He branded the entire Grammy show as the absolute lowest point in television, practically impossible to sit through. He claimed CBS dodged a bullet by no longer carrying such trash on its network. Turning his fire squarely on the host, he dismissed Noah, whoever that might be, as roughly on par with Jimmy Kimmel during the notoriously low-rated Oscars. Then came the core accusation. Noah had falsely asserted that Trump and Clinton had spent time together on Epstein's island. Trump declared that wrong on every level. He couldn't vouch for Clinton's whereabouts, but he insisted he himself had never set foot on that island, or anywhere remotely near it. Up until that very night's remark, he added, no one, not even the so-called fake news outlets, had ever leveled that specific charge against him. He labeled Noah a complete failure, demanded the comedian correct the record immediately, and warned that legal action was coming. Lawyers would be dispatched, he wrote, to pursue a defamation claim worth a substantial sum. He referenced past opponents like George Papadopoulos as examples of how such suits play out. He even suggested CBS should brace itself. The Post closed with a taunt. Get ready, Noah. I'm about to enjoy this. This isn't subtle. It's a direct public threat of litigation from a figure known for aggressive legal tactics against critics, media outlets, and anyone who crosses him. The question hanging over this entire episode is straightforward and urgent. Does this threat hold any real legal weight, or is it simply another outburst designed to bully and intimidate? To unpack the actual viability of a defamation case here, we have to examine the core requirements under American law. Defamation claims, whether libel for written statements or slander for spoken ones, rest on several strict elements that the plaintiff must prove by clear evidence. Courts don't hand out victories lightly, especially when the target is a public figure like the president. First, the statement must be demonstrably false. Second, it has to identify the plaintiff specifically. Third, it must be communicated to others, published in legal terms, which a nationally televised award show easily satisfies. Fourth, and crucially for public figures, the speaker must have acted with actual malice. That high bar, established by the landmark Supreme Court ruling in New York Times versus Sullivan, means the defendant either knew the statement was false or acted with reckless disregard for whether it was true. It's the same tough standard prosecutors face when proving intent in serious criminal cases. Finally, the plaintiff has to show tangible harm, damage to reputation, or quantifiable financial losses. Now, apply those to what actually happened on stage. Noah's exact wording didn't flatly declare that Trump visited Epstein's island with Clinton. He drew a humorous parallel. Trump's reported desire for Greenland makes sense in light of Epstein's island being unavailable, implying a need for a replacement venue to associate with Clinton. It's a set-up punchline structure, reliant on audience inference. Comedians build jokes this way all the time, leaving space for the crowd to connect the dots. Does that count as a provably false factual assertion? Or is it protected satire? The Supreme Court has long shielded comedy, parody, and artistic expression under the First Amendment. Jokes aren't held to the same literal truth standard as straight news reporting. Viewers understand the context. This is a late-night style roast at an entertainment event, not a sworn affidavit. Even if a court somehow treated the line as asserting a fact, the actual malice hurdle looms enormous. Trump is arguably the most scrutinized public figure alive. Noah, a seasoned comedian with a track record of political humor, would almost certainly argue he was riffing on widely discussed associations. Trump's past mentions of Epstein in social contexts, the former president's own comments about Greenland, and the persistent public speculation around Epstein's circle. Proving reckless disregard or knowing falsehood would require extraordinary evidence far beyond a single onstage quip. Then there's damages. How does a sitting president, who commands global attention, massive business interests, and a devoted following, credibly claim reputational injury from one comedian's remark? Recent document releases tied to Epstein investigations have kept those old questions circulating in the public square anyway. As for economic harm, Trump's various high-profile legal actions against government entities and others routinely seek sums in the hundreds of millions or even billions. Demonstrating that this particular joke caused measurable financial setback seems far-fetched. Consider the broader pattern. Trump has launched defamation suits before, including one against Hillary Clinton that a judge dismissed while ordering sanctions, potentially hundreds of thousands in fees, for filing in bad faith. That history doesn't bind future judges legally, but it creates what lawyers call atmospheric precedent. Defense attorneys would likely highlight it in motions, reminding the court of a track record of questionable filings. If a suit did move forward against Noah personally, or more likely also naming CBS as broadcaster with deep pockets, the discovery phase would prove brutal for any plaintiff. Written interrogatories under oath, sworn depositions where skilled lawyers probe every detail. We've seen how such questioning has unfolded in past cases involving Trump, responses that sometimes wander or contradict. Few litigants relish exposing themselves that way, especially when the payoff looks slim. And history with comedians? Threats against late-night hosts like Kimmel have mostly backfired, boosting ratings and sympathy rather than silencing anyone. Bullies thrive when targets fold quickly. Networks that have settled previous disputes may feel pressure to cut checks again just to exit early, but a determined defendant like Noah, experienced, well-resourced, and backed by free speech advocates, could turn the tables, seeking fees for defending against a meritless claim. So where does this leave us? A president lashing out at a joke told during an awards broadcast, a social media post loaded with insults and lawsuit promises, yet the legal fundamentals point in one direction. This claim faces steep obstacles at every turn: protected speech, weak falsity, impossible malice, dubious damages. We'll track every twist if papers are actually filed. For now, it looks more like an attempt to intimidate than a serious path to courtroom victory. The episode exposes something deeper, an intolerance for even mild mockery from those in power. Thin skin in high office isn't new, but threatening comedians over punchlines? That says plenty about priorities. If developments break, stay tuned. We'll dissect them without pulling punches. Subscribe if you want the unfiltered take as this plays out. It's free, and it keeps independent analysis going strong. This is the legal reality check you won't get anywhere else.